Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys football rivalry week, and we are kicking it off with the Egg Bowl as Mississippi State goes on the road to play Ole Miss. A lot of noise surrounding this game as you're not really sure if Lane Kiffin is going to be there on Friday, as he might take the Auburn job. Not much we can say about it. We've seen both sides of the story. Lane Kiffin saying he's not going to take the job, reporters saying he is taking the job. Before we get into the actual game, though, just want to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. Again, we love making these videos. We love talking ball, and we just really do appreciate all the support you guys have shown the channel. I'm back home right now. I got my cup of coffee. I'm in my childhood bedroom. I'm ready to talk some football. Now, when I think about this game, I think, what team do I trust more right now? And it has to be the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Ole Miss, they got off to a very, very good start. Believe it was 7-0 with a win over Kentucky, who was a top 10 team at the time. But the last 4 games, they've really looked ugly. Yes, they played a few tight games with Alabama, but you look at that Arkansas game, you look how dysfunctional that offense and that defense looked and how they just got ran over by that Arkansas run game. It's really hard to trust Ole Miss in this spot, especially because they're on kind of a losing skid, losing 3 of their last 4. Mississippi State, on the other hand, I love what Will Rogers does. I love watching that Mike Leach offense, and I have a lot of question marks about how good this Ole Miss team is, especially when they get spread out a little bit. This is a team that kind of lacks that chemistry, as most of their starters on the defense side of the ball are from the transfer portal. They haven't played a ton of football together. They haven't been in this scheme that long. And that's kind of just my gut take on this game, is that Mississippi State is the team to trust a little bit more than the Ole Miss Rebels, even when you talk about the potential coaching change and whether some of these players and coaches are going to be at Ole Miss in 6 months. Because if Lane Kiffin goes to Auburn, he's probably bringing a lot of that talent with him to Auburn as well, because that roster at Auburn really is bad. I want to start with the Ole Miss offense, though, in terms of this game, because this game, a lot of people just kind of saw Lane Kiffin as a pass-heavy, offensive-minded coach. This year, they had a very good offensive line with 2 very good running backs. In the summer, I thought those 2 really good running backs were Zach Evans and Ulysses Bennett. I was wrong. Quinshon Judkins has kind of stole the show in Oxford. He's been a phenomenal running back. He runs the ball downhill. He runs the ball very hard. And he has that breakaway speed at the next level. Zach Evans, that's not even a knock on Zach Evans. That's more of just how good Judkins has been for the Ole Miss Rebels. It's behind a really, really good offensive line. And you look at what Mississippi State has struggled with. They're allowing almost 4.5 yards per carry to opposing running backs. They have not been very good against the run. I like some of their guys in the front 7 when you look at guys like Jet Johnson, Nathaniel Watson, Tyrus Wheat. I like some of the talent, but when you go back and watch some of the Mississippi State games and you watch the LSU game, you watch the Alabama game, I mean, they were getting chunked pretty good through the run. And I think Ole Miss might be able to do that a little bit. Now, on the other side, Mississippi State in that offense and what Mike Leach does is phenomenal. They run the ball better than most people think. You take a look at some of those top running backs, and Marks and Dylan Johnson, both over 400 yards, both averaging over 5 yards per carry, and they're both very good out of the backfield. Now, they don't have an elite wide receiver like they did last year with Polk, but they kind of have a committee of guys, Ra Thomas, Rufus Harvey, Caleb Ducking, guys that are all over 400 yards who are all proven to be very productive in the pass-catching game. And one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, Will Rogers, who fits that Mike Leach system extremely well. He can make any throw that Mike Leach asks of him. I think this is going to be a little bit of a shootout. And when you look kind of to the pick, that over-under at 59 seems a little low. We all know how fast Ole Miss likes to run. They're going to score their points. They're going to go for it on 4th down. All that stuff favors the over. Mississippi State, on the other hand, they don't play as fast as Ole Miss, but they throw a lot. They don't run the football very much, and they still put up points. I think both offenses are better than both opposing defenses. I think you're going to see a lot of points. I actually have 2 picks for this game before we get kind of talking a little bit more about the game flow. That under 59 that over 59, looks very enticing, just because I think Mississippi State's going to be able to score on this Ole Miss defense that I think a lot of people thought was going to be a lot better than it was, especially when you open up against kind of some weaker opponents. This defense looked kind of really tough. And then when they've started playing some real big dogs from the SEC that aren't named Kentucky, Auburn, or Vanderbilt, they've been starting to give up some points. They even gave up some points to Auburn. They even gave up some points to Texas A&M, who hasn't been able to move the ball on anybody. This Ole Miss defense is not as good as people thought. This Mississippi State defense, quite frankly, has disappointed me a little bit too. You look at kind of their season stats. I haven't been that impressed. They're giving up over 5 yards per play. They're allowing almost 24, 25 points per game. Both these teams score. Both these teams don't play that good of defense, in my opinion. I think that you'll see this game go over 60. Second pick, I do like Mississippi State, just from the sense that this is the team I trust a little bit more. One thing to watch, whether it was a problem last year for Mississippi State, they like to throw the ball. It was raining. It was cold. Mississippi State wide receivers really just could not catch the ball last year during the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss, it's not going to bother them as much. They run the ball a lot. So if you do see some weather, you do see some rain, that's definitely going to favor Ole Miss. At the end of the day, when I'm thinking about this game, though, it's much more of a gut call, because when you look at the matchup, I think Ole Miss is going to be able to run the ball in Mississippi State, but I just trust Mississippi State a little bit more in this spot, looking at their whole body of work versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss doesn't have that many impressive wins on their resume, especially in the last 5 weeks. They have not looked like a very good football team. Mississippi State, on the other hand, they got handled by Bama. They got handled by Georgia. I think this team is a little bit more trustworthy in this spot. You're getting a short number. You're actually getting them as underdogs on the road. Probably going with Mississippi State. My lean, though, is definitely towards the over. I think you're going to see a lot of fast play. I think you're going to kind of see a little bit of a shootout. Lane Kiffin, if it's his last game in Oxford, is going to want to go out with some fireworks. So give me Mississippi State on the money line. More importantly, give me that over. I think you'll see a lot of points. And that is probably my favorite pick of that Thursday slate. Again, if you guys do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We do appreciate all the support, and we'll talk to y'all later.